I was going to tell you, so I was just watching, right before we got on the horn here, the old SNL, watching the old Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And what happens is every time I watch it, so there's this dude who's hosting this week called Kumail Nanjiani.
Yep. He's been an improv guy for a long time. He's got that new movie, So in Love.
Sick.
Yeah, Sick. Yeah.
It was such horseshit. It was the worst monologue I think I've ever seen.
Well, don't spoil it.
I see these, well, it's fine. I'm not going to give you any details, but I see these sketches. All these sketches, here's what people realize, because SNL's been on 30 years. So in 30 years, have they had some funny shit? Yes. But people forget like for every fucking funny sketch they hit, every home run, there's 90 piece of shit minutes in between. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like, oh, I watched a show that was an hour and a half long. 3 minutes was good.
The guest really drives the tone of the show. You know, if you have a good guest, you can have one of the greatest moments in TV history, or depending on who they are, you could just have a shit fest.
Well, what I started thinking about is, let's say I'm a comic guy, like particularly a stand-up comic, which is how Kumail Nanjiani started, or Louis C.K., who I see on the show. You're doing dumb fuck, bottom of the barrel shit comedy when stand-up is supposed to be about high-minded, pressing new ideas, moving forward.
I beg to differ there. I mean, Howie Mandel is one of your heroes, and the guy just blows up condoms on his head.
Yeah, but he's the kind of guy that it'd be okay if he hosted SNL because he's goofy. I'm talking about the guys like Carlin, the guys like Pryor, the guys like Louis C.K. You'd think they'd have more fucking self-respect than to go to do this fucking shitty piece of shit comedy show. And so I looked it up. Here's what I wanted to know. And I was surprised when I found the answer. I said, how many people have turned down SNL? Like told SNL to go fuck themselves. And really, I only found 2 people ever in 30 years of TV to tell SNL to go fuck themselves. One of them I didn't even know I'd be so proud of. Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, is there a reason behind that? Like,
yeah.
Did he just have his testicles removed that day or something?
What happened is, so when he was shopping around trying to find a show, right? He had that like tape, I guess you would call it a pilot, but it was like a VHS tape that was going all around Hollywood. So the producers of SNL saw it, and this had to be somewhere in the 90s. They saw it, and they said, hey, dude, we'd love to have you come on and do that like once a week on our show. Like as a bit or like 5 minutes a show, here's Johnny Knoxville killing himself. And so he was like, well, okay, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it with the whole crew. And they said, no.
Well,
go fuck yourself.
Was this a Jackass thing?
It was like the Jackass pilot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It hadn't been picked up by MTV yet, but basically he said, if I'm doing it, I'm bringing Bam, I'm bringing, fucking Ryan, I'm bringing all of them. Wee Man, they come with me or go fuck yourself. And they said, no, we just want to hire you. And he said, go fuck yourself. And I said, dude, that's a guy who fucking respected his art form. Now, a lot of people would not call what Jackass did art. I consider it the last remaining bit of slapstick humor left. Like it was Three Stooges for the modern generation. And except the only difference is the Three Stooges were fake. In the case of Johnny Knoxville and these fuckers, they were legit breaking their bodies for comedy. But yeah, I was amazed. The minute I saw the one dude, the only other person was this lady called Bonnie Hunt. And Bonnie Hunt comes from the improv background. She used to have a pretty funny show. She's like, if you Googled her, you'd know her face, but not really know her. But she told Lorne Michaels, she said, hey, I'd love to have the job. Can I ad-lib? He said, no. She said, go fuck yourself. And I said, it's 2 people who knew what they were doing and respected what they did more than this piece of shit sketch. It's like SNL's like lower than improv.
Well, I'm looking at the list here as well. Like Mindy Kaling from the Mindy Show, Mindy Project.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about her, though, is I don't really count that because she was offered a writing gig, but she already had a writing gig with The Office. So she said, hey, I've got this other gig. Like, it wasn't like she would have taken it if she didn't have the Office gig. You know what I'm saying?
Are we talking about working for SNL or hosting or what?
Well, I just wanted to see if anybody turned down hosting, but I couldn't find hosting specifically. All I could find is working. That's all I could find is a list of working.
Andy Dick's
You're
on
probably
here
looking at the
as
same
well.
list I looked up.
Mentalfloss.com.
Mm-hmm.
The Beatles.
That's where I learned it from. And so I read all about it. So I didn't count Andy Dick either because Andy Dick turned it down just because he didn't have enough self-confidence. He said he didn't think he could create a new character every week, which is what they wanted him to do. So he didn't really turn it down for like artistic reasons. He turned it down for I suck reasons.
Oh, again, I was just thinking about the hosting gig.
Yeah.
But
Literally the only people, those two people I mentioned, are the only ones who ever turned down SNL in any capacity for artistic purposes. Because everybody else was like, oh, I just didn't think I could do well at it, or oh, I just didn't think, or oh, the timing wasn't right. Some of these normal show business reasons, but basically all the others end up saying like, hey, if the timing was right, I would have definitely taken the job. Oh, what I wouldn't have given to have worked
Knoxville wasn't a hosting thing. They wanted him just to do a pre-taped stunt each week.
Yeah, weekly. They wanted to hire him for like SNL, like permanently.
So I'm just very confused.
Like,
I mean, I thought we were talking about hosting again. I keep repeating
that's
that.
how I started the search.
Yeah.
But I can't find any list online about that. There's no list online about that, which leads me to believe that no one has ever turned down hosting SNL. But that's where I led to this middle floss list. And that's where I saw that Knoxville really did turn him down for artistic reasons, which I thought was badass. I was fucking proud of him. I was proud of you, boy.
Whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's SNL. I mean, they have their good seasons. They have their bad. They create stars and they ruin people's lives.
Yeah, but like the fact that only one person or two people ever in the history of 30 years really gave him the middle finger, I would have thought the number would have been much higher. I would have thought more people would have gone, fuck your stupid, shitty SNL. What?
Yeah. Fuck your stupid, shitty SNL.
That's what I mean. Johnny Knoxville. You know how many people?
I got to switch that button.
Do you know how many people have said that to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? The list is huge. They were like, hey, we want you to be the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And these guys go, that makes me think rockers are more artistic than comedians. Because like Johnny Rotten wrote a letter, said, fuck your stupid Hall of Fame, suck a dick, you all suck. Axl Rose wrote a letter, said, fuck your stupid Hall of Fame, suck a dick.
Whatever.
So like, I believe
the idea
rockers,
of like giving the middle finger to somebody honoring you and saying like, don't you dare put my name in this history book. It's just silly. I mean, fuck it. Just live your life. What does it affect you?
No, because it's artistic is what I'm saying. It's an artistic choice.
For somebody like promoting your artist or your product or whatever, your art.
But if you believe
to like recognize it and then go like, don't you dare, put me up there with other famous people. It's just whatever.
Yeah, but if you believe the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is predicated on a lie because they put people like Tupac Shakur in there, then it's very badass and ballsy to tell them to go take a hike.
Whatever.
Reject them.
If the local newspaper wants to write an article, I can not participate, but they can still write it. Just whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, but if they have to write it and include the letter that you sent them that tells them that they're such pieces of dog shit, that's way cooler to me. That makes me think, oh, that's a real motherfucker. That person wasn't in it for the accolades or the money. They were in it for the art.
I think it's equally just as publicity driven and all of it. Because the way you handle that is don't ever respond. Just throw that in the trash and act like it never happened. Move on with your life.
Well, so that got me down. So you know how you do the list train and you start reading lists? That got me down another list. So I wrote down 4 names of the people who I love the most for giving fucking SNL in the ass. And so there's 3 other people who got banned like permanently from SNL. And the reasons were badass. Like there's a bunch of people who've been banned, but only a few who were like true badasses. So like Cypress Hill, they were told when they're banned from SNL. They were told when they got to perform on stage that DJ Muggs was like so intent on smoking weed. They're like, you can't smoke weed on our stage and perform. And then they also were like, you guys got to somewhat behave. So the minute they get out there, DJ Muggs goes, hey man, these sons of bitches said I couldn't smoke weed on stage. Well, we ain't going out like that. And then Be Real and Sindog stopped going, we ain't going out like that. We ain't going out like that. And the next thing you know, he puts a fucking joint to his mouth, lights it, and starts, DJ Muggs is just running around stage, smoking weed, blowing it in the air, like he doesn't even give a fuck. And then at the end, it's one of the greatest scenes I've ever had. At the end, at 3.5 minutes of performing that song, he starts randomly, he walks up to a bongo player, and he starts slapping the bongo kind of out of pace. And then he grabs the bongo, picks it up, throws it on the ground, starts kicking it like it's a fucking Rodney King beating. And permanent ban for Cypress Hill. So badass, dude. Okay. So badass. And then the other guy was this band called Fear. In 1981, this punk rock band, John Belushi was a big fan. Their name was Fear, and he convinced SNL to let them perform in the Halloween episode. So they get there to perform in the Halloween episode. Fear hired troops of slam dancers. And so when you see the video, it literally it's like 40 people show up out of nowhere and start destroying the SNL set because they're just moshing and breaking shit and Like it looked like a riot broke out in the SNL set. So obviously they got banned permanently. And then finally, Martin Lawrence, who is the only guy to have, when the thing went into syndication, they then had to edit a 2-minute disclaimer that played over the half of his monologue they couldn't play. Because out of the blue, like he was doing his regular like rehearsed monologue.
Right.
And out of the blue, he goes like, by the way, ladies, y'all got to wash y'all's ass. And the crowd's going crazy and shit. And he goes on a 2-minute diatribe about how women don't douche properly and he can't perform oral on them and how they need to wash their ass and need to douche. And he does about a 2.5-minute fucking rant about this shit. And aired live, SNL's like, oh my God, this guy's so banned. And then when they put it into syndication, it's the only time this has ever happened. They put a title card up and had one of their writers read, at this point in the monologue, Martin Lawrence went on a diatribe in regards to women's hygiene. And while we would like to broadcast it, it is in violation of this court network statutes, blah, 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 blah. So they actually had to do it. And then they go, and now back to Martin Lawrence. And then he goes at the end, he's like, we got a great show for you tonight. So they cut all that out, but left it in the fucking syndication. So those are my three, like, if you're going to go out, dude, that's the way to go out.
I think you said there was 4.
Well, the fourth was Johnny Knoxville, but he wasn't banned. He was just, there were 4 people that I gained more respect for tonight because they fucked SNL in the ass.
Well, didn't Norm Macdonald get banned as well?
He got fired because he wouldn't stop. I mean, it was a badass story, but it's not quite the same. He's not banned. He was able to host again.
Oh.
But he got fired just because the president of NBC told him to stop making O.J. Simpson is a murderer jokes. And like the very next day, to fucking give him the middle finger, he goes and does like 5 minutes of O.J. Simpson is a murderer jokes.
Right. I didn't think he had been back.
Now, Norm Macdonald did get banned from The View for a while because he went on and started calling Bill Clinton a murderer. And he wouldn't stop making jokes about it. And Barbara Walters was all uncomfortable. And he was like, but wait a minute. He killed a guy.
Okay, just again, I just Googled the same thing. People banned from SNL, and the list goes much farther. It looks like.
No, it's a huge list. These are the people I was saying, there's a huge list. These are the people I said, in my opinion, did it for badass reasons. Like in a badass way.
Well,
because there's other people like Sinead O'Connor tore the Pope picture up. Who gives a fuck?
Well, like Adrian Brody, same thing as, who'd you say, improvised his monologue. And so they...
Yeah, he put on a dreadlock wig and he started going, Bumba Clout, up, 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 man, Bumba Clout, up, 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 Sean Paul. And that got him banned. Apparently, Lorne Michaels doesn't like people being creative and funny. That's what I learned. If it's not on the stupid fuck cue cards, Lorne Michaels isn't a fan.
Yeah. I mean, it is a show he's responsible for, you know. He produces a product.
Yeah, but ad-libbing could create some true moments, man.
Or
these are moments.
You could have a 5-minute diatribe about women's health.